and welcome to the Wayfaring Panda. Today I'm making a sympathy card. So I'm starting with an A2 card base. I'm using some black ink and stamping this saying, "You are in my thoughts in Paris." Now you could use this card for any type of encouragement card. I'm making the card for a friend I've had since 8th grade. He just recently lost his father. So this card is also be suitable for a masculine card. I'm using my stamping platform to stamp an Art Impressions Window to the World stamp onto a square of watercolor paper. And I'm using StazOn ink since I'm going to be using watercolor. This is the eagle window, and it says, "They that will wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles." Isaiah 40:31. This is one of my favorite Bible verses, and it means a lot to me because when I was in college, my senior year in college, I found out that my dad had melanoma, and he wasn't necessarily expected to survive, and I didn't know what to do at the time, so I opened up my Bible, and this was the verse that I opened up to. So it's been my favorite Bible verse since then. The friend I'm sending this to was in my youth group, and his father was actually our Sunday school teacher when we were in 8th grade. And also my friend volunteered at the World Bird Sanctuary when he was in high school and became a science teacher. So I'm sure that he would probably like this verse also. Using the stamping platform, it allows me to stamp over and over again till I get a good impression. There was one spot that was having trouble getting stamped, and I think it's because of the magnet. It doesn't allow it to go down quite all the way. Now this stamping platform does allow you to flip over, so since this is a rubber stamp, I flipped it to the rubber stamp side, and then you flip it to the other side if you're going to use photopolymer stamps. I'm using my Tombow Dual Brush markers to do the watercolor, so I just put some of the marker on an acrylic block and use a brush with water. And this is number 528. I'm kind of new to doing watercolors, so I'm not an expert, but I just want to show you the results you can get, even if you're a beginner at watercolor. I really like the look of watercolor, and with using a stamp like this, you can get a whole watercolor scene even if you have no artistic ability. So this set is the Windows to the World, so you can get a whole scene this way with just one stamp. They also have watercolor stamps that you can use to make your own scenes, and then you use your markers for that. One thing I learned from watching the Art Impressions videos is that Bonnie, the owner of Art Impressions, said in one of her videos is to make it darker on the outside and the middle to make it lighter so it draws your eyes to the inside of the picture. So that's what I'm trying to do. Then I'm using marker 985, which is chrome orange, for the beak of the eagle. If you don't have the same colors, you can use whichever blue or yellow colors you have. The next color I'm using is actually 969. I wrote it backwards. I must have been looking at the marker upside down. So it's 969, which is chocolate, and I'm using that for the eagle. I'm just using the smallest water brush that I have, although I don't have too many of these. And I'll list all the different products that I'm using in the description below. Some of these will be affiliate links. They don't cost you anything to use, but I do get a small percentage of a commission from any sales that the links generate. And this helps support my site. I'm trying to make the underneath of the eagle a little bit darker since the top of the wings would be closer to the sun and be lighter, and underneath would be further away from the sun. Now I'm using 992, which is sand color, and putting a little bit underneath his head because even though this is white feathers, there would be a shadow underneath his body. And now I'm using N35, which is a warm gray, and I'm going to be painting the mountains. So I'll try to make it darker along the ridges, which is where there will be less light, and make it darker towards the sides like I've been trying to do. I'm also trying to make it darker towards the bottom than the top, because of course the top of the mountain there would be more light. A funny thing that happened with this family, well, it's something that we found out when we were in college. My sister and this guy I'm making the card for went to the same college a freshman year, and then I went there later. But anyway, his mom was taking both of them home one time, or taking them to school one time, and they got to talking, and it turned out that she not only lived in the same small town that my great aunt and uncle lived on, they lived on the very same street. And so when my mom's family went up to visit their great aunt and uncle, her oldest brother and sister used to play with this lady. And we didn't know it until we were in college and they got to talking in this car trip and found out that she knew my oldest aunt and uncle. So we had a lot in common with this family, and my mom and dad were really good friends with his mom and dad. And in fact, after my dad had his stroke, his dad would come and pick him up and take him out to lunch with the guys. And we really appreciated that, so that way Dad could have time with his friends. For the tree trunk, I'm going to be using number 977, which is saddle brown, and then I'm going to go over part of the bottom and where I think it'd be dark with 969, which is the chocolate. Now I'm using 177, which is dark jade, for the tree leaves. Now I'm using number 158, which is dark olive, and I'll use that for the grass. I'm using the 177, the dark jade, for the bushes. Then I use 992 again for the sand around the bushes. Then I just get my N35 again because I noticed there were some empty spots along the bottom of the mountain, and I wanted to make it a little darker since that's away from the sun. Finally, I'm using 515, which is light blue, for the sky. If you like the idea of using these type of windows where you have a whole small scene to color, there's a lot of these different windows to the world. So if you check out Art Impressions, you'll probably find some that you like. I used my Lawn Fawn Stitch Rectangle dies to cut out some cardstock to map my image since it's fairly small, and I just wanted to have a simple design. So I started with an A2 card base, and I'm putting on my navy cardstock, which is 5.5 times 4 1/4. So you can either use a rectangle die or just cut out a rectangle that size. And then I cut another white one that's a little bit smaller. And you can see I stamped on the other side. I was testing out the color of the stamp to see if I wanted to use a stamp pad. And I stamped a message there. And it says, "May God give you peace." Now these sentiments I have from Stampin' Up, and they're old, so you can use whatever sentiments that you have. Then I cut out a square of navy cardstock so I can use that to map my image. I want to thank you for watching. If you liked the video, please give it a like. And if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you.